thanks for coming in. We have Kyle here. Kyle, thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you're with Brain Train?
I am. I'm with Brain Train Centers. My name is Dr. Kyle Skoog. I am a neurofeedback provider. And so we provide EEG neurofeedback there, and it's helped out a lot of folks, including myself. And so I'm kind of here to talk a little bit with y'all about it.
Okay, well, tell us, where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up? And, what school did you go to that led you to this?
Okay, so I am from a tiny town in northwestern Illinois, so it's not anywhere near Chicago. Is an extremely rural area. There's one stoplight in the entire county, and it's not a small county, so there's just like barely anything where I'm from other than corn and deer. And then, so grew up there, and then went to Mississippi State for my undergrad, got a bachelor's of kinesiology there, and then realized that, you can't really do much with the bachelor's of kinesiology. You have to go do something else in addition to that. So then I learned about chiropractic, and I was like, okay, chiropractic school sounds fine. Like, let's go with that. So I went to chiropractic school. I graduated from Life University last September. So I got my doctorate there, and the process of doing that was actually kind of how I came to learn about neurofeedback, because I'm trained as a chiropractor, but then I learned about neurofeedback, and now I've actually received more training in that and learned more about it, done some research into it and things like that. And now I'm providing it because of how much it helped me with some stuff that I was going through. So that's kind of the broad trend of, what happened, or like what my early life was, stuff like that. But basically, like, where I'm from, you ever seen a cornfield? Well, that's where I'm from. So,
okay. Cool. Well, tell us, how did you get to where you are with your background that led you to neurofeedback?
So, I guess actually this does involve a little bit of history. So growing up, it's something that I think a lot of people tend to find as they grow older, is that, they were the smart kid when they were young. And then that kind of leads to some problems as they start to grow, because, like, for example, for me, school was never difficult when I was young. And not that I'm like the smartest guy in the world or anything, but it just, I didn't have to really try in school. Like, so, through grade school, high school, even undergrad, just weren't really all that difficult. Well, then when I got to chiropractic school, that was a completely different animal. Like, the first year was definitely tough, but it was kind of what I expected. But then, so Life University operates on a quarter system. So, 4 quarters in a year. Each quarter is about 3 months. So the 5th quarter, so the start of the 2nd year, is where they turn it up. And there are some very hard classes.
From 0 to 100?
Kind of, yeah. Or really from like 80 to like 300.
Oh.
It was wild. Like, I started feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to like fail something, or I'm not good enough. And like, there's these classes that were just so difficult. Like, one of the classes, and there's like 10 classes that quarter, the guy has 5 doctorates. Like, the guy's insane. Great teacher, but he's literally insane. And anyway, so that's where I first like started realizing, like, oh God, like, I need to work, and like my usual kind of casual studying stuff like that wasn't going to work. Then so I started developing anxiety, which I'd never had before. So I didn't really know how to deal with all of this.
So it's like a new world.
Basically, yes. Like, but not the fun one from Little Mermaid. And so I started getting really nervous oh God, I'm not going to pass these things. Like, it's, I was starting to have a little trouble sleeping, or I wouldn't want to do anything other than study, just out of raw fear of failing, because I was like, if I don't pass these classes, then I'm going to, then I'm going to never be able to pass them at all. Well, unfortunately, that was like kind of the start of darkness, because then it transferred into, after that quarter was done, passed everything, actually got pretty good grades. But after that was done, I couldn't turn that off, because then the next quarter is actually like even harder. And I was like, okay, like I have to study. And then I cannot pass these things. And then so I started dropping classes, because I felt I could not keep up with the load. But then that turned into, oh God, like, I don't want to learn these things. Like, I'm too scared to learn them. I don't want to have this responsibility or anything like that. Or I'm going to be a terrible chiropractor. I'm going to get somebody killed because, like, we're learning about all these cancers and infections and things like that. Like, oh, I'm going to miss them. And so I was starting to freak out about that. Like, just all these different things warping into. And then it turned into, I don't want to be a chiropractor at all. Oh. But that became, well, a bachelor's of kinesiology is not going to get you a whole lot of jobs. So I was like, if I don't finish this degree, I'm already $80,000 in the hole from just that degree, because chiropractic school is expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I was like, okay, so I'm in a load of debt. I have no real job prospects. Like, what am I going to do? So that was causing even more anxiety. So this is all building itself. And then I started having problems sleeping. So for those who don't know, a lot of your body's repairing, restoring, I mean, even just for your pure mental health, a lot of that is done when you're sleeping to just allow the body to rest, repair itself, to re-energize, as it were. Like some people can do with a little bit of sleep. Like, there's different, natural variances and stuff like that. I could not. Like I was literally getting 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night, every single night. And I would lay there for the next 6 or 7 hours freaking out about, life, career, oh, I'm going to get somebody killed. But then it started warping into anxiety about anxiety. I was like, oh gosh, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. Like I could not turn my brain off. It was like a little spinning wheel of energy that I just could not get to stop at all, no matter what I did. And I started feeling helpless. Like, cause like when you lose control of your own mind, I mean, that's you. Like, if your arm hurts, I mean, it's like, okay, like you can see your arm, but like your mind is you.
Yeah. Like you can't see it.
Exactly.
You can't control it.
Exactly. So that was starting to warp out of control rapidly. And I would just sit there every single night, just freaking out about not being able to go to sleep, about being too anxious. And then every single day, it was just getting ground down by my own mind because it would not shut off and I couldn't sleep to let my brain rest
like
and
two
recover.
halves of your head are like fighting each other.
Exactly. Well, then that started leading to a physical pain, like a literal tangible physical pain, which is the worst pain I've ever felt. Like, I don't know if you can see, I mean, I've got scars on my arms from breaking bones and stuff like that when I was young. This pain was far worse than any of that because I think it was stress hormones. Like it felt like acid combined with fire, combined with lava in my skull.
Oh,
like
wow.
it was so bad I was nearly hospitalized twice because of it. Like it was genuinely the most agonizing thing I've ever felt.
Was it all like in your head, the pain?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a physical pain. It wasn't just like mental stress, which was absolutely.
But like, was your head hurting or was your whole body hurting?
No, it was my head. It was just my head.
Oh.
And it was so agonizing. Like, ibuprofen, nothing would like put a dent in it. So in addition to, the mental stress, the career stress, the literal physical pain that was so bad I was nearly hospitalized, like I was in a bad place. So what then made it even worse than that was nothing was helping. So, I did what you're supposed to do. Like I, had reduced my course load. I was exercising, trying to eat right. I was talking to a counselor. I was taking medications that was prescribed. Like it just nothing was putting a dent in this thing. And that's where things really started getting scary because there just was like nothing,
no help.
Nothing put a dent in it. Like these sleeping pills that I got, my mind would burn through and wouldn't even notice them. They helped one night, the first night I got them. After that, the evil thing that was in my head just laughed at them. I just didn't feel any change at all. And it was kind of terrifying because, I'm doing all these things, but then it's like, what else do you do at that point? And so this lasted, let's say about 6 to 7, I think it was approaching 8 months. I mean, and every night I'm sleeping like 2 hours at this point. So after this long, like I'm just a wreck. Like I'm naturally a pretty bouncy, happy, very joking, humorous person. Mm-hmm. I was not that at all. Like I lost
a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. I lost like about 15 pounds. I just was not myself. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid to like be optimistic because I was like, oh God, this thing's just gonna come back and just crush it. I lost a relationship that I was having at the time, which, I mean, bless her heart, she stuck with me for a long time, but like she just like, this is just more than I signed up for. I'm like, I don't blame you. And I was just losing hope for everything because I became afraid of my own bed because I just knew it was just going to be another night of just laying there for 6 hours, freaking out the entire time in horrible pain, losing hope, just praying, hoping to go to sleep, but it just would not come day after day after day. And so this is the most brutal, traumatic experience of my life because there just was no getting out of it. And you never really know what you have until you lose it. One of those is a good night's sleep. Another one is hope. Like most of us just, live day to day, just we expect the next day or whatever, and it's perfectly fine. I had lost even hope of a tomorrow, which I didn't know how bad it was to lose that until I lost it. And that just was another thing that was utterly terrifying of when you lose hope for your own future. And so again, I've done all these things, nothing had worked. And so I was contemplating taking a quarter off from school, which frankly would have been permanent because like there's nothing going home would have improved my situation at all. Mm-hmm. So I was about 3 weeks away from dropping out of school. And then a Army vet who I knew, who I wasn't even really particularly good friends with, he's a nice enough guy, but he saw a Facebook post I'd made because I was like, guys, like I need help sleeping, like a supplement, anything. And he messaged me and he was like, hey, do you want to get to the bottom of this? I'm like, well, yes, this isn't fun. Like this is every day is torture and
Like,
horror.
yeah.
Like I'm like my life is just raw misery and it's nothing I can do about it. So he sat down and spoke with me a little bit about his experiences. You know, he was a veteran from Iraq. I'd say his name. I just don't want to put his business out there. But, you know, he'd seen some pretty rough stuff. He'd seen, you know, a lot of members of his unit die in friendly fire and things like that. And so, you know, he'd had problems sleeping. He was always turned on and stuff like that. And, you know, I was like, dude, like, I feel like a big pansy even, like, pretending like I have a problem around you. And so he said something that was really influential to me. He said, like, I don't care. Like, what you're going through is what you're going through. And that's helped me a lot going forward of whenever I meet anybody in my life is I don't really care what their problems are. I want to help them because everybody experiences things in their own way. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, so we go through genuinely traumatic experiences. Some aren't, you know, life may not be as hard, but it's hard for them. You got to meet them where they're at and help them out there.
Yeah, everybody's different.
Exactly. And so he told me about neurofeedback. And what neurofeedback does is they use this cap that's right here, and we'll get to that in a minute, but it reads your brain waves. And, you know, some parts of your brain are overactive or underactive or not communicating right. And if those are dysregulated, they can cause problems like PTSD, anxiety, depression, insomnia, inability to focus, ADHD. I mean, a whole gamut of issues can be caused by brainwave dysregulation.
Anything like neurological.
A lot of different things neurologically, particularly in your brain. And I was like, I mean, well, yeah, like it feels like somebody has left their foot on the gas for, you know, about 3 years now, and it's just been grinding me down and nothing's helped. So why not? So he took me to a place that was called Be Wellness at the time. And that's where I met the lady who fixed my brain and who is now my mentor, Dr. Jamila Flowers. And she was actually former business partners with the lady who I'm working for now, whose name is Melissa, who's great. I love Melissa. She's amazing. She's great to work with, and I've gotten to help a lot of people with her. But so this Army vet took me to Dr. Jamila Flowers, did the scan, found what was going on in my brain. So like for me, it was like my beta and my alpha were super high, and my alpha was actually completely flipped. So you have these natural asymmetries in your brain. They're supposed to be high on one side and low on another. Alpha was completely on the opposite sides that it was supposed to be. And that was correlating a lot with the things I was going through.
Right.
So then we started doing the sessions. And what you do is like once we develop a protocol for based on what we need to fix, then you sit there and you watch a television screen, whatever you want to watch. It just matters that you're interested in it. And so they have these sensors on your head, and it dims the image and the audio when your brain is acting out of line for what we want. And so for me, like whenever my brain kicked way into high gear, which was all the time, it had dimmed the image and the audio. So it trains the brain to replug itself using this process called neuroplasticity. And so it started replugging, breaking up those bad pathways, which doesn't hurt. There's no side effects to this. And so it breaks up those bad pathways that are causing issues that we keep getting stuck in. Because for me, it was every night was just getting stuck in a circle that I could not turn off. I could not go to sleep. I could not make myself stop freaking out.
Like a dog chasing his tail.
Basically,
he can't catch the tail.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But the dog is on fire, and that was basically my brain. And so that helped to start breaking up those bad pathways that are keeping me trapped in that cycle. Because, like, you know, I mean, I was doing everything you're supposed to do. I was doing counseling. And counseling is great, by the way. I do not mean to disparage it. Like, I fully advocate.
It just didn't work for you.
It didn't because my brain was on fire. And so actually when we started doing the neurofeedback, when I started retraining my brain, started forming good neural connections and strengthening those new ones, I started getting better slowly. Like I started being able to sleep again. I started having, you know, fewer anxious days. Like one of the most interesting moments was I was just sitting there working out in the gym, and I was just like, oh, I don't feel anxious. Like it was after having
like
been
light switch.
Exactly. I hadn't been stuck in it for that long. I didn't even know what that felt like anymore. And I was like, okay, like I'm not, and it was actually kind of alarming because I was like, I don't know.
Like, am I
what
dying?
I don't know what it's like to not be anxious. I don't know what it's like to not be freaking out all the time. So I started recovering. So this happened in the year 2018. Then I started doing the neurofeedback around the end of 2018. And so most of 2019 was like starting to recover, starting to pick up the pieces of my shattered psyche now that my neurology was being kind of fixed up. And so towards the end of doing the neurofeedback, like, I was doing a lot better. We'd done several different maps, and we're like, okay, so we've got improvement here. Then eventually my mentor was like, okay, so you keep like telling me the same thing. So neurologically we're doing okay. Now I want you to talk to a counselor again. And I was like, well, okay. And so I went to another counselor now, and 7 sessions of counseling, good to go. I was like, oh. So it turns out, like, when your neurology is not on fire all the time, you can actually use the fantastic advice and, protocols and stuff that they use.
Right.
Because there's, for example, there's like the Christian principle of like, don't build your house upon the shifting sands, build your house upon the solid rock. So when I'd formerly tried to go to counseling and stuff like that, it was like shifting sands, but the sands were on fire. And so just nothing that they were telling me could work, because my brain, which was just like on methamphetamine, would not, like, it would just work. It would just warp around them. It would like warp all the advice that they would give me. It would try to like figure out things around there. God bless them, they tried, but it just did not help. But now that my neurology was okay, I had that firm neurological foundation, then that little bit of counseling, along with finding the right counselor, helped me out like so much faster. So I wish I'd done them concurrently. My recovery would have been even faster. So like a lot of people who we work with now, we advocate that they go to a counselor. We work with Marietta West Cobb Counseling a lot down on Whitlock Avenue down in Marietta. And so I went there, so I personally vouch for them. But they did some great stuff there along with the neurofeedback I got. So hitting it from 2 angles, like, it's kind of the reason I'm here. So, but the neurofeedback did kind of the lion's share of the work, along with my mentor, Dr. Jamila, who listened to my crazy butt blubbering and, I used to would send her emails like, if I had a rough night, and she'd kind of talk me through it. And so, it started getting better and better. And now I sleep fine. Like, now I don't have anxiety anymore. Like, I only get nervous when I'm supposed to be nervous, and then
like normal nervous.
Yeah, exactly.
Times.
Like, because like everybody's supposed to have times in their life where they're supposed to be a little nervous. Supposed to be sad or something. Like, like a family member passes, or you have a big test coming up, or
like a first date.
Exactly, just like that. And but your brain's supposed to be able to shift between them like a gearbox. Like, sometimes you're supposed to be in high, sometimes you're supposed to be in low, but you're supposed to be able to shift between them as needed. Well, sometimes we get stuck in those gears. So like, for like kids in ADHD, a lot of times their delta and their theta waves are actually really high. And so when they get stuck in that, then they start to have those neurological problems and stuff like that. And like a medical neurologist would be able to go even deeper into like why that is. And it's really fascinating, like some of the things that you see on the maps. But for me, I just could not shift out of that high gear. And then now my brain could actually calm down and stuff like that.
Now you can actually control what gear you're in.
Exactly. So like now it's so much easier if I'm a little nervous about something, just to, just be mindful of it or just deal with it. And then I'm fine after that, like a normal person. Like I get to live life normally again, which, and like I said earlier, you don't really know what you have until you lose it. Well, being able to deal with things normally it's like a second chance at life for me. And like, I love my life now. I get to do a career that I absolutely love, because so once I started recovering, I was like, okay, I did not know anything about neurofeedback, and if that Army vet had not told me about it, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
Because like, if he hadn't seen that Facebook post, like, I just wouldn't be here.
So you were meant to be here.
Kind of, yeah. Like, well, it's not entirely the way I see it, but like the fact that he had taken the time to speak out and tell me about it, like, that literally saved my life. So that's why I'm doing it, because now I want to spread this thing. Like, I never shut up about it. Like, I'm pretty sure the first time I met you at networking, like, I brought it up, obviously, just because, like, I want everybody to know that this thing exists. Because, none of the counselors I'd been with, no one at the school, nobody had told me that this was a thing.
Yeah, and I didn't know it was a thing till I met you. Exactly.
And so it's, kind of like, 2 ships passing in the dark. If I hadn't heard about it, I mean, my life would still probably be that pure hell that I was living in. And so that's why I'm doing it now, because I guess kind of my guiding force right now is that I'd want nobody to go through what I went through, because it was suffering just at it kind of like its most pure pointless form, because like nothing was gained from that suffering. It just burned.
Yeah, like wasting away.
Exactly. And so that's kind of why I'm doing it now, because I want to be able to help people the way I was helped. And fortunately, I started learning more about it. I started asking my mentor like just basically every single question that I could. And
That's what they're there for.
exactly. And so she's fantastic. And then Melissa offered me a job doing it, and I was like, yes, like absolutely, I want to do this. And so
I can imagine you getting super excited about that because you are a happy, energetic person. So getting offered a job about something that you're passionate about, it's like life changing.
Basically, yeah, and thank you. But yeah, I just geeked out about it. And so I've been doing this since last August, and I've already, had several patients of my own, who I've like recruited and started with and stuff like that. And my very first patient, he's now actually completely off of it himself because he came in for, some anxiety and some lack of focus issues. He's a financial planner. And I talked with him about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and he's still doing great. Like he said like he's still focused, he's got time to, enjoy with his family. Like he's just loving life now, and I'm really excited for him.
Okay.
And the nice thing about neurofeedback too is that you don't have to do it the rest of your life.
That's what I was going to ask. It's not like something you have to do once a month for 20 years.
Yep, exactly. Like once the changes are made, once those new pathways are reinforced, because every time like a brain cell gets stimulated, like the pathways get stronger. And so just as we start to train the brain to go in the directions that we want it to go, then the effects are, they're just done. Like they did studies that show like the effects can last for up to 30 years, and it's only 30 years because that's how long the studies go. So it might be even longer than that.
Yeah.
But we'll just say at least 30 years. But like I haven't done neurofeedback in I don't know how long. Like so you don't have to do it like every week or it comes back, or it's not like a drug. Once you take it out of your system, like the issue starts to grow again. Like it's not like that. Like I haven't done neurofeedback since again I literally don't remember the last time I did it, but that's how much it helped me. And so like I'm not really worried about that issue coming back anymore, and not having that stress is pretty great because life's hard enough. Like it's a lot harder to do when your brain is screaming at you and not letting you just do the most basic functions of your life. And so having that change done for me, I guess forget the tautology, but it changed my life. And now I've gotten to do that for some people myself, and it's been a incredibly rewarding experience. And I just look forward to doing it for the remainder of my career. Like, chiropractic is great. I love it. And I fully plan on doing that too. Like I'm about to start doing some stuff in that regard. But neurofeedback is much more my focus just because of how it literally shifted the entire course of my life away from just pure, unfortunately not unimaginable suffering in my case, but just pure agony to living life the way I want to now, getting to geek out about stuff and making fart jokes and loving my hobbies and spending time with people I love and things like that.
And doing podcasts.
Yes, and doing podcasts, which is my very first one, so this is a lot of fun.
Okay, well tell us, what is this guy?
So this is, I haven't really decided a name, so I'm just going to call him Themistocles because we were talking about Greek people earlier. So the styrofoam head isn't important, and I don't really know what the camera is. But what this does is this is the EEG cap that we use. So this is the kids one. But we just put this on your head. It's like a shower cap. And we just squirt gel in through these holes. And that helps read the signal of what your brain's doing. So it doesn't shock you or anything. It's literally just, it's like a little microphone just for electrical signals.
Okay.
And so it's reading the signals in your scalp, seeing what the different brain waves are doing. Are they high? Are they low? Or they higher?
Is that what you're wearing when you're watching the show you're talking about?
No, so this is just for the first scan. So it's kind of like two different parts. So the first part is just the EEG scan. We just call it a brain map. And so you just sit there quietly in a dark room, and we basically just use this to listen to your brain. And we do 6 sections with the eyes closed and 6 sections with the eyes open. You just sit there, don't move around. It's frankly pretty boring. But then you get to do the fun stuff. So once we do that, we take this off. You got to go home and shower, get all the goop off. And so then we take all that data. We write up what's called a brain map. And so then, you come back. And then, I do a report of findings and be like, hey, this is what we found, so then we also send an email that has, an intake form, so you write down, the history, any medications you're on, a bunch of cognitive, emotional questions, things like that. Mm-hmm. So then I, take all of that data and I say, hey, this is what, you told us, this explains this, whatever, here, these are high, these are low, whatever. And just explain, what's going on, because everybody's brain is different. The brain is the most unique thing that we know of. There's more neural connections than I believe there are stars in the sky. The brain is insanely complex. So everybody's a little bit different, and that's fine. That's okay. And then, so we're going after the dysregulation. So for me, these areas back here were extremely high and they were flipped over, not where they're supposed to be. So that was like the main target starting out for us. And then what we use is once we're done with the scan, then we don't have to use this. And then we just put these 2 little sensors on your head and some ear clips, and then you just watch whatever you want to watch. Like the key is that you're interested in the subject. So like I was watching like Kevin Hart videos and James Bond movies. And so when it dims the image and the audio based on the signal that the computer is reading, then it dims the image and the audio. So you get a little frustrated that you can't see, James Bond drinking a martini or whatever it is that he does now. And because you're denied that, you get a little frustrated. So that's when the brain starts to, make some changes, because the brain wants that signal. It's kind of the stimulus. Like you want to be able to see that. So when you deny it, the brain starts to make some changes called operant conditioning.
Okay.
And so the nice thing about it is that it's unconscious. You can't outthink it. As my mentor put it, your brain's going to get some science whether you like it or not. And that was what I needed, because like I was constantly like trying to outwit these, these fantastic counselors that I was talking to. But it's what the brain is telling it. Like, so I can't control, my alpha being high or something like that. It's not a conscious process. And so my brain couldn't escape it. So finally it found like something had been found that could like wrangle this thing and like make it get better. And so over time, those changes started being made. And so then when the brain is in the thresholds that we want it to be, it brightens the image in the audio. So the brain learns, okay, so when I do the right thing, I get to see what I want to see again. So that's how it breaks up those bad pathways, forms the good pathways, and strengthens them. And that's basically in a nutshell how it works. And so it takes some time, but then I started, getting like being able to sleep like 1 night a week, and then 2 nights a week. And then like after a time I started being able to, only have 1 bad night every other week, and then like 1 bad night a month. And then now it's the only time I don't sleep well is like if I eat a bunch of cheese the night before. So like I have like last week, for example, I actually laughed because I didn't sleep well. It wasn't because of anxiety. It's because like, with the changing of the seasons, my sinuses were glued shut. So I just couldn't sleep very well. And I actually laughed at that because my problems are normal again.
I was going to say, because it's a normal reason
Yes.
not to be able to sleep very well.
Yeah, it is. So, being able to have that change in perspective, even of like, now I can just enjoy every single day for what it is. Like, just enjoy the small things, because you don't know you have till you lose them. So like, just even enjoying the sunshine, I can actually do that now because my brain's not screaming at me. I sleep fine. I get to do a career I love. Like it generally changed my life for the better, and I'm out there wanting to do the same for other people.
Okay. Would you at some point want to open your own neurological feedback practice?
Somewhere down the road. I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at right now. There's still a lot I want to learn. Just how to deal with different people, things like that. Different cases and things like that. So down the road eventually, but like that's several years off. Like I'm still wanting to get the chiropractic side of my career going as well. I love working with Melissa. So that's been fantastic. So I don't really want to go independent really just now, but down the road, sure.
Yeah. Usually I'd say when you're at a job, your boss or your mentor, whoever, is kind of, I guess, training you to be able to go off on your own eventually.
Yeah, kind of.
In any job. Because I used to work at a gym, and when I left there, I wanted to open my own gym. It didn't work out. Yeah. But I had the mindset of wanting to open my own gym. And I've had a couple of jobs like that. But, sometimes it's like that and sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's good to have the mindset. Like to treat everything as a learning experience, like the good and the bad and all of that. So I've learned different things that I want to do, different things that I love that, like Melissa does. Like she's fantastic at networking. I've learned a lot about networking from her. I've done so much networking.
Yeah,
as I forget how you and I met.
I see you at every networking event I go to.
Yeah. And that's been a lot of fun being able to, share what I do, but also just to learn about other people and things like that. Like being able to enjoy their stories and what they deal with, what their careers are. And so I got to learn a lot about that from Melissa, and then the neurological stuff that I need to know as well. I've learned a lot of that from her. So just it's been great working for her, and I'm looking forward to continuing doing so. And we actually have 2 offices as well. We have one in Marietta Square on 127 Church Street, and then we have another one here in Kennesaw, or I guess technically we're in Ackworth, but in Kennesaw, right there in the Horndower Brewery. There's kind of like an office suite in the side of it. There's an office suite in the side of it.
That's actually where I met you for the first time. It was at a KBA, a Life After 5 at the Horned Owl.
That's right. Yeah. So if you go out the door there, just around the building to the right, our offices are in there. So it's actually...
We're by Piedmont Injury?
Yeah, we're on the bottom floor of that.
Okay.
But, so yeah, it's like a really nice location. So we've got 2 of them, and it's just, I get to work in both of them, so it's pretty incredible. And then I actually had one patient who's a former Marine. He started leaving. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go get a beer. And I was like, dang, like I kind of wish I could too, because that sounds amazing. So yeah, just once the workday is done, you can just walk right there and grab.
I'm sure that happens a lot.
Yeah, I've had a few people go do that once I'm done with them, and but yeah, I love what I do, and just the sheer amount of things that I've seen it help with are astounding. Like, helped me with anxiety, insomnia. Like some people who I observed, like helped with depression. Some kids with ADHD. One girl who's about my age, helped her a lot with seizures.
Oh, okay.
And actually, one of my former roommates, he had severe alcoholism. Like, he relapsed hard. And it's kind of hard to watch a man, like, literally just break down in front of you over the course of a couple months. But he broke down. Like, I woke up one morning, he was just standing in my other roommate's room, just sobbing, like, apologizing to us. And
I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, it was rough for him. But I knew that neurofeedback can actually help with addiction issues as well. And so I told him about it, and I was like, hey, like, let's go talk to Dr. Jamil. Like, this helped me, obviously. Like, I think this could help you. And sure enough, he started doing it, and he's doing great now. He actually just graduated, I believe it was last week. And he and I took our last board exam together, and I'm immensely proud of him.
Oh.
But yeah, just the sheer amount of things that it can help with. Like, yeah, a lot of times there's something that we want to add in as well. Like, sometimes it's rehab, sometimes it's, counseling, things like that. But just the sheer amount of things that it can, at the very least, help with are absolutely astounding. Like, in it, I've seen it change a lot of lives, and I've heard it change even more lives, and I've experienced it change my own. And it is absolutely incredible. And I just think it's almost criminal that fewer people know about this. So that's why I'm out there, singing it to the hilltops, because I want people to know that this exists. Like, I don't want anybody to have to suffer longer than they have to, who've done years and years of therapy and meds, which, not to knock folks that use that, because like they're good people, and the providers mean to help. Yeah. But like sometimes something else is needed. So I just want this to be that another puzzle piece that they can use to try and get them to recover, to, get back on their feet, and then, go out and live their lives the way that life is meant to be lived.
Yeah. And, well, good thing for this podcast, you can share it with however many people you can get it to, and get your word out there virtually. Yeah. And I'm immensely appreciative for the opportunity, because it's been, I just love being able to talk about it and kind of geek out about it. And it's awesome. So I love y'all set up, and I love the opportunity that y'all given me. So thank you so much for letting me talk about it a little bit. Yeah, of course. Well, tell everybody how we can find you, how somebody can get in touch with you. Okay. Give me one moment, because the contact information is on my wallet, which I threw on the floor. Okay. So you can go ahead and give us a call at 470-291-2778. Like, that's our office phone number. So you'll get in contact with Tracy, who runs our communications, and then just ask for Dr. Kyle, and they'll get you on my schedule, and I'll sit down and do a consult with you, which doesn't cost anything. And then if we decide to go forward in neurofeedback, then we can start doing the brain map, and then go on and go forward and see what we can do. And then you can also email me at kyle@braintraincentersinc.com, or you can just go to our website at www.braintraincentersinc.com. A lot of great information there. I highly recommend you go to the website. There's a lot of good info that you can just read about neurofeedback in general. And yes, that's how you get in contact with us. Like, shooting me an email is usually the fastest way to get in contact with me personally. And then I'm just more than happy to sit down, do the free consult, see what's going on, tell me your story, and just see if this is something that can help you. And then we go forward with that. And then right now we're still doing our $99 QEEG report of findings and mini session special. So all of that is $99. You come in, you do the QEEG, you sit down, we do a report of findings, and I give you about a 10 to 15 minute session of neurofeedback to show you how it actually works, like what the sessions are actually like. Okay. All that's $99, which is a great value. And I'm a former patient, so I love doing anything that can help patients. And Melissa's been incredibly supportive of me doing that. So we've extended that again.
and it's helped out a lot of people, and I highly encourage people to take advantage of it and see if we can help you out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kyle. Y'all heard it here. If you want your brain fixed, if you want to sleep again, go see Kyle.
Yep, I'd love to help you all out. So once again, Dr. Kyle with Brain Train Centers, and see if we can help you out.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kyle.
Oh, thank you, Jordin.